Welcome to Unpacked, real conversations for diplomatic partners who are ready to unpack more than just boxes. This is the space for the brave questions, the messy middles, and the quiet decision to stop shrinking and start showing up fully. We talk identity, purpose, transitions, and what it really takes to feel at home in a life that's always moving. Because you've always been more than the label, and this is where we say it out loud. Hi, I'm Anna, and I am with my co host Emma. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the episode number 12 with amazing Emma Somerville.
Yes.
And we are so thrilled to be back. And before we dive in, this is the episode topic for today, staying connected when you are far apart. So we're going to continue our series on relationships. But today we're going to look, let's say, at your middle circle, your family members back home or in other parts of the world, and obviously your friends. How do you stay connected? How do you communicate? How do you basically nurture those relationships that are far away from where you are right now? And Emma, we have something exciting to announce, right? What did we just close?
Yes. We have just got, well, hi everybody. We have just managed to get over 1,000 downloads. Woohoo! It's just so, it's just unbelievable. I'm so touched, and I know that we're so proud, aren't we, Anna, that everything has just it feels like a big thing, and I remember getting the first 100 downloads and being so excited about that, and then coming up to the 500, and then it's like, oh my god, are we actually going to get to the 1,000? Um, so it's just really, it just always reminds me of how much you just have to go for it and just trust the process. And we are months into this, you know, podcast journey, exploration, and it's amazing how far you can get. And so all of your feedback, every download, every listen, every question that you ask, it is truly um just I want you to well, I just hope everyone knows how grateful we are, because
We
it's
absolutely are,
we are
yes.
so thrilled for every time you listen. And we hope that we can continue to just help you feel supported, feel as though we've got you and we're wrapping you up in a big hug. That's all we would love to achieve. So thank you so much, everybody.
Yes, and I just want to add a couple of words. As Emma said, we are so immensely grateful that somehow I think the space we've created is useful, and I know we've been getting such an amazing response and feedback from many of you. So we really appreciate it, because I think the way we conceived it, it's not us preaching or teaching, it's really just us sharing, because we know it's a very collective experience, and we want to have it two ways, right? It's not us telling you something. Please come and tell us too. So thank you so much for the feedback, for your questions. Please keep listening, resharing with your friends,
Yes.
and we really appreciate you taking your precious time to be with us.
Yeah, and we're just so excited. I mean, every time before we record, we always have a little catch up and we talk about all ideas of what we've got to come up in the future. And there's
Yes,
just so many ideas. So we're so
exactly.
excited to share and to grow and to develop. It's thrilling to imagine where we will be in a year's time. I
Oh
can't
my
even
God,
imagine.
yes. Oh, wow. But we definitely have many, many ideas, and
Many
I
ideas.
think we'll never run out of them. So
No.
stay tuned, keep listening. And so, what else is happening? And I know there is another exciting news coming our way, everyone. Drum roll.
Yes. Oh gosh, if I get a little bit
Sorry,
nervous
I put you
now.
on the spot now.
Yeah. Um, well, I would love to announce that I'm having a baby. Which is, yeah, it's been very exciting. I am about halfway through now, which
Oh,
is a
I'm
bit
getting
mind
goosebumps, and I
blowing.
knew it, Emma. This is so crazy.
um, it's been a bit of a journey for the last few months, and my perspectives have
Ye-
changed. I've learned a lot already, and I know I have so much
Mm,
more to learn. I know we're going to do some future episodes on having baby overseas,
Yep.
not over back at home, navigating the whole pregnancy, motherhood journey in this system. And I had opinions before, but they have completely changed. I
Welcome
know,
to,
yeah.
yes, to the
So
club.
so it will be
This is how
really
it
nice
goes.
to, yeah, explore all of that with everybody and to just see how, because I have fears and doubts and excitement and nerves, and
Yes.
yeah, it's been really good. But I actually said to my husband yesterday, I was like, today I feel like I've woken up from a really long nap. I feel like the
Oh.
last 12 weeks have been a blur.
Mm.
Um, well, longer than 12 weeks, but that that middle section of first trimester and early second trimester, I feel has been I don't feel like I've been fully myself at all parts of the day. So yesterday
Yeah.
I was sat on the sofa having my morning coffee and I was like, oh, I could actually go and do things now. Like I have energy to do things. It was a
Yeah.
complete surprise. I was like, oh, I'm back. What can I do with
I'm
myself?
back. I'm
Yeah.
back.
So I'm very
Yeah.
excited and I feel like I have energy and I'm excited for this whole journey and meeting baby and so yeah, I'm looking forward to taking you along with me on the journey and I'm sure getting lots and lots of advice along the way.
Yes. And well, a kind of a good story. I did know everyone, and it was such an exciting thing when I first found out. So huge congratulations also on behalf of our listeners, Emma. You
Yes,
know, it's
thank
going
you.
to be our podcast baby.
Yes,
Yeah.
our podcast baby.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's our podcast baby. So this is
Yeah.
so exciting. And we're obviously all, sending you all our love, lots of
Yes.
hugs, lots of cuddles. You're doing such an amazing job.
Thank
Hang
you.
on there. It goes like this. And
Yes.
everyone who ever became a mom knows, you just go with the flow and you just do the best you can and just, yeah,
Yeah,
kind
be
of the
kind to
expectations and
yourself.
maybe I would call it, have some excited anticipation rather than really harsh, rigid expectations. Because,
Yes.
sorry, those just normally it's set up for some disappointments and being
Yes.
hard on yourself and did not go this way. And I read about this. It's not going the way I planned. So exactly, I think just,
Surrender.
exactly. Have some
Yes.
flexibility and just, yeah. But I think that's exactly what you're doing. So,
Yeah, I'm doing my best. I don't think I'm doing it perfectly. Even yesterday, I
well,
messaged my friend and I was like, oh, I can't even twist like I used to do in yoga anymore. Like, how's that happened? You know, my belly isn't that big yet, but clearly everything has changed. and uh,
yes,
and it's like, okay, just let's just surrender. This is just only a small amount of time. You'll be able to twist again soon.
that's true. But okay,
Yeah.
we're going to talk about becoming a mom and becoming a parent in a later
Yes.
episode. But I would say because in a way, in hindsight, because I had three pregnancies and I actually, believe it or not, I enjoyed being pregnant. So I do miss it. So it's a beautiful experience. And if you, I don't know, obviously not for everyone, but it, these two shall pass. And I think it's good to enjoy especially the good parts, the
Yes.
best you can.
Yeah. Well, I'm enjoying right now feeling some little flutters and kicks,
Ooh,
which
enjoy
is
those
very
ones.
nice. Yeah, so I'm very
Those are
excited
the
about that.
best. Yeah.
And how are you doing, Anna? What have you been up to? Because it's been a little while since we spoke.
Yes, exactly. I think October was so busy. I think for both of us, right? I had a
Mm.
couple of master classes and webinars and busy creating something new. So while I'm here, I also wanted to share with our listeners, there'll be another masterclass or training that I'm going to host on the 25th of November. So you can, if you follow me on Instagram or LinkedIn, you can probably you'll find the details there. So basically, it's about a very important topic, how to relocate for his or her career without regretting it later on. And I think, unfortunately, so many women, especially I me, they do regret their choices. And I don't want anyone to wake up one day feeling, shit, what have I done? That
Yeah.
was not the right thing to do. I regret my choices because I guarantee you, if you're really honest with yourself, sooner or later throughout this journey, you had this question in your head like, what am I doing here? Was this the right thing to do? Emma, did
Yes.
you have this question ever?
Oh yeah, and
Oh,
but I even with this whole topic of regret, one thing there's many things that like drive me in my whole motivational factors, but one thing is that is a constant driver in my mind. Is what when I if we go back to the UK for our next post,
hmm.
if I what will I regret? Will I how will I how what will I not necessarily regret or how, what will I think about my time and how I used it?
Yeah.
So it's a massive thing for me. So there's one thing of well, I want to make sure I enjoy it and have a really great time, and I want to see some cool things, and I want to do all of the fun explorations. But also, what about me and my goals? How what can I say about myself in 3 years' time when we might be back in the UK, or in another posting, or in 15 years' time? Well, because life moves at speed.
Oh my God, you tell me that.
Yes,
We are at the end of 2025. Where did
yes,
the year go? How did it
yes,
happen? I agree with you. I think, Emma, to me, it's about living this life intentionally. You have to
yes.
be intentional instead of an autopilot. But
Hmm.
also, what I'm going to share, it's basically because I've done it for long enough and I really so some things that just don't work and it's a setup. There are so many traps, I think, along the way. And if you're not aware of them, it's so easy to fall into that. And then, by the time you get out, it's frankly, it can be too late
Hmm.
to change things. So that's why this is kind of me, some heads up to those who just about to start, maybe even those who've done it for a few times, like, they've relocated and they know what it takes. You've lived this experience, but also maybe those who are just thinking, oh, well, we are about to go overseas on our first posting,
Hmm.
and I don't know what it is. Like, I'd like to learn more. So this is for you guys. So
Yeah.
stay tuned.
Yeah, and I
So,
just before you move on,
yeah.
I love that
Hmm.
idea of intentionality. I
Yeah.
think it's the biggest thing about this life. I think whatever you decide, however you decide to live it, as long as you do it with intention, then I don't think you will regret anything. Because you're going into it with a huge with direction. And people have different intentions with every post or every year or every 6 months, and it's all okay to change, but I think being aware and snapping yourself out of that self-awareness. So that sounds a really exciting workshop, Anna.
Thank you. And I agree with you. It's like, you have to have intentions like your compass because otherwise, like, where the heck are you going? You don't know. You'll
Hmm.
be just doing the loops or drifting and floating around. But I think what I feel like I really wished when I started, someone gave me like, a little booklet,
Hmm.
with short descriptions, like, what to expect, and no one does. And I think, what I have right now, I do have this helicopter view because I've done it, I kind of have a little roadmap. And I think if you know in advance, like you can be prepared. You can, let's say if you're flowing on this river of life and there is a really tough current there. Well, if you know it's coming on your right hand side in 20 meters, you can do something about it instead
Hmm.
of going heads into, this the rough current.
Yeah.
So things like that. It's just a bit also roadmap and yes, like intentional instead of sleepwalking. That's makes all
Yeah.
the difference.
It makes a huge difference.
Huge difference. So
Huge
let's
difference.
dive into the topic of today. I think it's such an exciting and I would also say not widely discussed and maybe slightly sensitive topic, like all relationships, right? Because
Yeah.
we human beings, we need other people.
Hmm.
This is how we thrive, but also relationship. Have you guys noticed there can be heaven, there can be hell, and there can be anything in between,
Yes. Yes.
right?
And they're very hard to navigate because ultimately, I believe that relationships are the heart of everything that
Yes.
is important. I know I've spoken to this about before about if we nurture relationships, then positive emotions, our flow, our achievement, our meaning, they all. I believe anyway that it all flows from making sure that we are connected. And in our way of life, I believe that obviously we've talked about our relationships with ourselves, we've talked about our relationships with our family and our partners, and now it's that next step of it's the next circle, isn't it, Anna? It's the friends and the family, the people who have known us for the longest amount of time, and those people that have all of our history, our context. They know us. They those are the people that we really want to. We don't want to lose those people, do we? And then outside of that is our maybe our friends at post who maybe come into that middle circle at some point. But in the first instance, it's all of those people who really hold us steady, and the friends and the family are a huge people in our lives. Um, and when I think about this as a topic, I think about the dynamics of navigating um, navigating trying to keep people. Sometimes feels like keeping people happy. I think, and obviously you're wanting to make yourself feel happy, but you also care about those people, and you want to know they want to know that you're there for them as well.
That's true because I think what I find personally, because for me, I left my home country many years ago, so I've lived
Mm-hmm.
the majority of my life abroad, and so as a result, friends and family are literally all over the world, and it's not easy, I find, to keep relationships actually really still deep and thriving. Because I find the longer you do it, especially like, how would I say it's really a time. It might feel like what I'm about to tell them is just not going to land because it's like I'm describing the moon landscape here. They don't
Yeah.
understand. They can try and imagine, but they will never know. They can try and understand. And that's why I think what I find personally when I connect with those who are not living this lifestyle, I would not almost I would choose neutral topics or topics that are relevant to them or some. Do you understand? Like, really, because what's the
Yeah.
point? Like, they won't get it. I won't feel heard. It's unfulfilling. So I personally choose the topics that I know, like, we still have in common. Those are the relevant ones. And the ones I know, like, Emma, although I've never met you in person, but you will understand me. Like,
Yes.
I don't have to explain anything. I know I won't be judged. You will be like, hey, and I really get you. Because this is very different. And yet, I think those friends, and as you said, they've known us all our lives. You don't
Yeah.
want to lose this precious gift. So how do you still have it going, keep it going? While now, like I say, maybe in the past you could talk about, I don't know, 30 different subjects because you had all of them in common. Now they're less and less and less and less because your lifestyle is so different to theirs. How do you do
Yeah.
that, Emma?
Well,
Well, like, what's your take?
I was just thinking while she was speaking. I remember probably going back for the first few times I think you go home, or this happened for me. I felt like I was just on repeat. Yeah, everyone asked the same things like, "How is
Mhm.
it? What do you do?" And blah blah
Yeah.
blah. And I felt like I felt like I was just cycling the same thing, and I actually found it pretty exhausting. And I
Hmm.
also one of the things that I say to people, and no one will listen to this advice because everyone I think has to go through this, but when you go back for those first few times, you feel the pressure to fit everybody in, to see everybody, to show them that you still want to see them, and that ultimately your schedule is jam packed. You feel like you should have gone for a holiday, and you come back even more exhausted because not only have you put too much in your schedule, but you've also said the same things over and over again. Um,
Yep.
and I kind of, I don't know whether I should admit this or not, but for me, COVID was a blessing for that. Because when I then went home, obviously I saw my friends and I saw a couple of people, but I could really, you had to question whether you saw someone or whether you didn't see someone, because you were about to travel within 48 hours and you had to have a COVID test before you got on a flight, or you didn't want to necessarily go out in a massive group because of the risk, and
Yes.
so at that point and my whole routine when I went home completely changed. Basically, I I started to be a little bit more, well, I guess selfish. I think is the only word, in the sense of not selfish, but self aware, self just understanding that I didn't need to do all of that to keep those friendships.
Mm.
In the same way, like those people, my friends know that I love to see them. That I want to be around them. If it doesn't fit that particular trip, then unfortunately it doesn't fit that particular trip. But I always then continue to maintain those friendships, and I keep going. But that for me is a massive thing. And I also found, I don't know whether you found this, because my whole world had opened, and you experience different cultures, different countries, different people, and then you go back, and there's, like, I often found that some of my friends were talking about the same topics that we were still talking about 3 years ago. And like, life hasn't changed that much, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But I found that within myself, I didn't relate to them as much in the same way. So again, it added this extra layer of, who actually do I want to nurture those relationships, and actually who are those middle circle of where, like, who I always want to see, who completely get me, who will understand me. And it allowed me to do that filtering process of, which, not filtering off people, that sounds terrible, but filtering of, where is my energy best, who cares for me, who do I care for the most, rather than just going through the sleepwalking element of being like, these are all the people who I know in my life at home,
Yep.
okay, and I have to see all of them. So no, I
No.
don't have to see all of them. Obviously, I
No.
have some amazing friendships and amazing family and amazing people who I want to see, but where am I going to get some energy, as well as this giving and taking of friendships? When that's what a relationship is, it's, you're always giving and you're always receiving. So where is that balance, and where do I feel the most nurtured, and where do they
That
feel the most nurtured too?
absolutely. I think, to me, it also sounds like, these boundaries. So you don't feel obliged to see everyone every time you
Yes.
you visit. So that your day's packed with, I don't know, coffees, lunches, dinners, and you're constantly like, it's almost you can record yourself like, hey guys, you just listen, just listen to this because I've told it, I don't know, 10 times already. And you feel
Yeah.
like, I know, it's like, I'm listening to myself. I'm bored listening
Yes.
to myself. I
Yes.
heard this, like, it's like, oh my
Yeah.
God, I told it. Really?
I'm like,
Cannot be bothered.
it's like you're on
Um,
like a tour guide at a museum, and you're like, did I say that story again? Or like,
Exactly. It's like, oh, it's like, you are bored. Like for me, that's
Mm.
some point, like I am bored listening to
Hmm.
myself. And I think exactly if you know this, and for me, this is also kind of a sign at some point of true friendship. If people get really upset with you, you did not see them,
Hmm.
well, I'm sorry, it's their problem, not yours. And it just tells you a bit, okay, I don't know, do you want to go through, you know, I don't know. I think it's okay to upset a few people.
Yeah.
to to feel like if it's you either upsetting yourself or you're upsetting them, and it's again, it's not nothing in an egoistic way, but if you know, okay, wow, a little bit these topics, they're not relevant for me anymore, or people really feel like they can insist, or they're insisting and pushing and it's a bit too much for me, I think it's okay to say no, because I find like, real people that do stay in your life. And I find real people, obviously nurturing those relationships, it is important,
Yeah.
but you don't have to be calling every month. Like I have friends, I definitely don't call every month, but whenever I talk, like you pick up like you've just seen each other yesterday,
Yeah. And that
right?
and I think it's about having that awareness of who those people are, and I think that that's the most important thing. So when we're talking about the long distance friends and family and the relationships that we want to nurture in that middle ground, we first do have to go through that awareness, and who do we want to you know, who do we want to do that nurturing? And yes, it's not necessarily having to speak to them every single day. It's about understanding that everyone has lives and that you can continue. And my brain has just completely gone, but I had a really nice point to say.
Really?
Yeah,
Uh,
but it'll come back, I'm sure.
so while you retrieving that point, I'm
Yeah,
going to actually we got a question for this one. We can try and elaborate on it, right, Emma?
yeah.
So what do you do? So it's again, let's say family members dynamics. People obviously they love you, they want to see you, and they want to be part of, the weddings and the birthday parties and so on. But what if you cannot come for whatever reasons? How do you still keep harmony, I'd say, and balance in those relationships while having your clear boundaries, not feeling like now you're ostracized or obliged to do things that if you do them, you're shooting yourself in the foot. So this particular question came from a young mom. She just her son started a daycare, and everyone has young kids and went through, this daycare settling routine. It's very challenging for both the child and the mom. And now things are working. She's obviously the one who holds the routine together. And for her going away or, to a family, I don't know, gathering or birthday would have meant either upsetting this routine or traveling with the son. So she decided not to go. But I can imagine some people probably got a bit upset about that.
And I think
So, yeah.
it's a very difficult. It's so hard. I think it's ultimately really really difficult because you want to be there for the weddings, the birthdays, the big events, the celebrations, and there are. I think I think there are. First of all, you go with great intentions, don't you? I think you start off
Hmm.
and be like, no, I'm never going to miss this. This is one of my rules that I'm going to be there and I want to be there for all of these things. But in reality and practically, you can't because
No,
you have to manage a life and you have to manage life overseas, and I think the difficulty comes where potentially, say, you go to one wedding or one birthday party, but then you don't attend another. And that internal struggle of like, well, how do I decide that that one is more important than that one? And I don't think we do make that decision, do we? I think ultimately we make a decision based on practicalities. Is there something else that also works around that time where potentially I can do multiple things all in one visit? Can I do it? But I've also done it where I've flown home over a weekend for a wedding, and I would that was a choice that I absolutely loved to make. But have I done that for every single wedding? No, I haven't. So I think it's about the navigation of understanding that you sometimes you can, and if you can make it work, you will make it work. But if you can't make it work, then you have to take the pressure off yourself. What do you think, Anna?
exactly. I would also say I think it's a bit dystopian to think, that you're going to be there all the time, or like, at every occasion, for every occasion. And I understand I might create some tension. And why did you then? I don't know. You were there for this wedding, but not for that one. But I think if you maybe for yourself decided this is how many times I can travel back home, this is viable and realistic for me. Obviously no guarantees, but this is like, I'm aiming to do it that often. And then you just, I don't know, stick to that plan. And obviously if it's something is really important, because have you noticed that if things are important to us, we make things work normally.
Yeah.
But if I really, and I feel it deep on the inside of like, in this in case, as in this case of, this particular situation, if you've just invested so much time and so much effort and so much energy into setting up the routine that's finally working, and I understand upsetting what would mean like it's not worth it. Like, I would need to go and start from scratch again, with this daycare routine and so on. And I think those who love you and understand, and I'm sure your family does, if you then communicate it, and not kind of in a defensive or blameful way, but I think I always like, I'm a mom, right? I have two girls and a boy. And I always now think, even for myself, like, would I want my girls to do it? What did I say if this was my daughter who just went through that? I would say, well, I would love to see you, darling, but I understand, like, I'll see you next time. Or maybe I'll come and visit you. I don't know. That would be me as a mom
Yeah. Well, this
thinking.
is this is the what you just touched upon the thought that disappeared out my head, and now it's back. So I wrote it down when it popped back. But it's like the question of like they can also visit you. So if we're talking about effort and this giving and receiving, you know, yes, it's you, this pressure to always go back home. Well, what's the effort in return? And that's not to say that it's necessarily equal effort, because effort looks different. One trip for them in 3 years might be equal effort for you to go back home twice a year. So the perspective is different there. But when people understand your lifestyle, they understand that you will be home when you can be home and that you want to spend the time with them. What happens on the return? And do they make up? I think the question is, are they and would they do that for me? I think it's an important question because it helps you again understand the quality of that relationship.
Agree.
If they were in the same position, so like this mum,
Mm.
if they could put themselves into a position where their birthday, it was your birthday, but they had some important, I don't know, just childcare routine, school term time issues might be look completely different, but could they leave their children to come and see you halfway through the school year? If the question is no, because for most parents it's very difficult to navigate childcare at the best of times, never mind when you're also then trying to navigate holidays and time off work. So if the question is no, then it's got to have some mutual understanding, hasn't it?
Exactly. I think it really, that's a great point. Glad you remembered it.
Yeah.
So it's exactly, it takes two to tango, you cannot be the
Yeah.
one who always has to drop stuff and just run, and get on the plane. And no, I think exactly. And obviously, maybe you can do it twice a year. Maybe for them, max it's once in 3 years, whatever. But I think as long as you're open about it, and I also think, not taking things personally is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
But I understand, especially when it's so close to home, when these are your
Yeah.
family members and friends, that's very difficult. It's way easier said than done.
Yeah.
But I think clear boundaries and just expectations and like, hey, why don't you guys come here? Why not?
Yeah. And then just see, this is the first year ever of my life, Anna, that I'm not going home for Christmas. Dun
Really?
dun dun. This is
Ding,
it.
ding, ding. Exciting.
Yeah. It's, I mean, it's exciting, nerve wracking. I have no routines outside of what my family does. We get up
Oh,
and we do this and we do this. So spending that time with my husband is going to be new and different. And yes, we don't have our obviously bigger family here, and
yeah.
partly that's through logistics. And I remember I was so nervous to tell my mum and dad, um, because I also didn't want to let them down.
Yeah.
They've never had. How old am I now? This will be my 35th Christmas. Okay, so they've had me for Christmas Day for the last 34 years. That's quite a
Yeah.
long time to have a routine that then changes.
That's true.
you know so I think that's something as well that we have to remember. People are also used to this autopilot thing is going to keep coming back over and over again. People are also used to being in routine and not having the status quo challenged or routines changed. So whenever you step out of that routine, it's always a difficult boundary. And the communication, I think, is the most important thing. So when I told them, I think I explained it was a practical logistical point of view. It was, I'm coming back. I'll be having the baby in the UK for other reasons we'll get into at another point. But they knew that they understood that actually it wasn't a I wasn't choosing not to be with them.
Yeah, it
I
just
was
made
choosing
sense, right?
I was
Yeah,
just choosing a practical point of view,
yeah, that's
and
it.
they understood it. And then, whilst I've been home for the last 3 weeks, we've had three Christmas dinners, um, one a week. I
Wow.
can't even tell. My mum has gone to town. Like, I've had stuffing in October. I've had roast potatoes. I've had pigs in blankets. I've had
Oh, well.
everything. And bless my mum. I am not as organised, but she sent me back with Christmas presents for to put under the tree for when we put it up. So I think that there is so many things that we can do to navigate when the routines do change.
And they do change. And for everyone who's living this lifestyle, that's one constant thing in all of our lives. It's the
Mm-hmm.
change of things, of places, of routines. So this is the norm. This is not
Mm-hmm.
something this is what we signed up for. This is what's happening and it's going to happen. So there'll be things will change. And for you, Amma, like now starting your family Christmas tradition. That's true.
Yeah,
Like that's like, next Christmas will be different and then the one after. So, well, now you can decide, like, how you do your Christmas.
yeah, I get to be an
So now it's
adult.
exciting. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
So I think so to recap basically our conversation, is it challenging to keep those relationships, with your family members and friends from back home while you are moving around the world? Yes, absolutely. Because I
Mm-hmm.
think as we both pointed out, right, Emma, at some point the distance tends to grow, especially like, as I really clearly feel it, that you kind of the lives are so different. And then for me, it's almost, well, surely I want to know what's going on in your life, but it's like for me, before we wrap up, the way I approach the whole thing now with friendships, yes, I want to know what's going on, but more than that, I really know like how you're feeling, like what are you going through inside of you. I don't want to hear necessarily all the facts. Just tell me, I want to go into more depths. I really want to connect with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, when people meet, it's like, where are you from and what do you do? Well, no, I mean, I'd rather ask, like, who are you and how are you?
Yeah.
This is it's like, it's the same, but more with them, like in really like what are you going through? How is your life? I don't want necessarily all the facts and the same story told. I want to hear your emotions, your feelings, like the deeper level, so to speak. Well,
Mm-hmm.
nothing is wrong, obviously. The fun stuff and surface is amazing too, but not all the time.
Yeah, and I think that's it sums up wonderfully. Your communication patterns shift.
Yeah,
So, and I think got to be an understanding on both parts that if you message somebody, whether you just do a check in, if they don't get back to you for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you know, it's not to take that personally and think, oh, they fell out with me. What's happened? It's just
exactly.
about life. Life is just full. It's just busy. Like people, you know what? And people are so sweet when they don't respond and they say, "Oh, sorry, it's taking me so long." I'm like, never apologize to me. It takes me the same amount of time to respond sometimes. You know that people are just doing the best that they can. They want to communicate. They want to keep you in their lives, and they just haven't got the bandwidth. And actually, wouldn't you rather them show up when they have the energy to talk to you? Sometimes a short message can make you even have even more questions rather than being like, oh, when you feel good, yeah, we're here for it and I want to talk about it. So giving yourself that permission to let the friendship evolve and well, a friendship or relationship if it's family members, but just allow that whole relationship to just explore and see how it goes. Take it into the next level of depth. Take it into that, who's going to show up for me when I need someone to speak to, and who I can speak to openly about how I'm feeling. Who can speak to me in the same way. And I think that's the most important thing here is understanding that everyone's going through life in their own way. Give
That's
people
true.
grace. you know?
Exactly. Don't take things personally. Think, what's the meaning I'm attaching that the person hasn't replied. Maybe, we're all busy. Maybe it just, it slipped down their mind. Sometimes I see a message and I forget to reply. Or I think I replied. Turns
Mm-hmm.
out I didn't. It happens to all of us.
Yeah.
So it's just, give them some time. Maybe they really just did not see it. And I think don't feel obliged to really drop everything and just I think what we discussed, like, it's like, it's mutual effort.
Mm.
Um, and I think that's how you also see like who is there, to also taking time and showing the interest and for me,
Yeah, I think it's
not
the
one
most.
way
Yeah,
dance. Mm,
and I think that's the most important thing. It's a two way, and I think that's the most important thing. Um, and even just a quick check in message. I love you. I hope you're okay. Just message me whenever you're free. It's always
exactly.
it's always a nice message just to keep that relationship going.
Yes, so I think right, we covered it. Obviously, you
Yeah,
can talk about this non-stop. Or I mean, this
yeah,
just it's a very complex topic. There are so many aspects to it. But I think, am I right? We want to maybe still continue with this series, one more episode,
yeah.
and then. So
We'll
we had
see.
some brainstorming before recording it. So definitely motherhood, parenting, third culture, kids,
Yeah,
right? Having baby
definitely.
new country. And I think, yes, I think this will be a very juicy one. The magic formula to make this lifestyle work. So
Yeah.
if you guys have any ideas, or just in general, any ideas, any questions, you know where to find us. Please come
Yes.
and share. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, you can either always message us or we have the anonymous link, which is still active and will always be active. So please do all of your amazing things, like, subscribe, tell a friend, share it, get in touch with us. We love hearing everything, don't we, Anna?
Absolutely, yes. Your
Yes,
messages are really brighten up our days. Like you cannot imagine how valuable, I mean, how precious
yeah,
all your kind words are.
yes, we love it. Well, have a lovely day. It was lovely to speak to you, Anna, as always.
Likewise, and to all our listeners. So Emma, I'm sure everyone knows by now, but maybe new listeners to our podcast, where do people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at the Zesty Life, and my email is in the show notes. And Anna, where can we find you?
Not just a spouse. That's my Instagram account. My first and last name is LinkedIn profile, and I have a website, notjustaspouse.com. And I'll be sharing more information about the upcoming masterclass, No Regret Relocation, in on my social media platforms. So, yes, keep
Wonderful.
tuned.
Sounds great. Well, good luck and have a great week, everybody.
Thank
I look
you.
forward to
Bye,
hearing from you soon.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.